Hi, I'm Dave Remy. I'm the owner of Tune MTB. Welcome to a Bike Lights Top Shop tour. Come on in, let me show you around. Welcome to the shop. This is our little reception area. We are a service studio, so no showroom, don't really sell bikes. We do sell one brand, Banshee, which is a great thing, but focus on high-end mountain bike repair. We do it all. One of our specialties is suspension rebuild. You want to come back and check out the shop? We got some service parts here. This is our normal bike repair area for pretty much everything except the suspension work. We specialize in high-end mountain bikes, but we do offer service to all bicycles. So, we do road bike stuff, we do tune-ups on hybrids, we do flats for everybody as they come in. But yeah, really love mountain biking. Been focused on that for pretty much our entire lives. This is Kevin, shop manager. It is just the two of us here. So Kevin and I know each other have known each other for, well, since about 2016 when I started at our old bike shop. Worked together there. I was the top tech. Kevin was the service manager at that shop as well. There was a suspension subsidiary there. Kevin did teach me a lot of the suspension stuff, honestly. A lot of that came from him.
Always had kind of a draw towards the more intricate, complicated sides of bike mechanics. Suspension, obviously, wheel building, hydraulic disc brakes, things like that. Not everybody was super eager to jump in and do, and just kind of grew from there.
So yeah, shop owner closed shop for personal reasons in the end of 2019. Started Tune MTB. I am 100% owner of Tune MTB. Started that business in January of 2020. We got this place in February and opened in March. Yeah, purchased all the tools and the suspension tools and some seal kits and some other random stuff from the old shop owner to start our own place here.
Yeah, even though, starting up right at the beginning of COVID when the whole world was shutting down, luckily we did have access to be in here and get right to work.
I was very lucky with having kind of business waiting in the wind for us when we started. So our first day we had a big box of suspension pieces show up, and we got right to work and just haven't stopped since. We've got about 25 years of experience, so between us we have 45 years of experience in the shop. We have an excellent knowledge base. We go back about into the maybe early 70s, what I would consider kind of modern bicycle. You start going before that, and that's real vintage stuff. It's kind of a different world, so we'll work on anything going back to about that far. We average probably about 350 to 400 suspension pieces a year. That's going to be both mail-in and local stuff, but we have been very consistent at that number over the years. We've been here 5 years. One other little thought is we are actually a Yeti small parts dealer and warranty center, so we can get small parts, and we do a lot of SI Link stuff on the Yetis, getting those serviced and taken care of. But yeah, it's a nice mix, and that's, I think one of the things that Kevin and I enjoy about this place, talking to some people, talking on the phone, doing computer work, doing physical work, doing suspension work, doing the homework to figure out what parts we need, and sourcing that stuff is all part of the game. And being able to kind of dance around and do different things just keeps it interesting and keeps it lively, and I never feel like it's a weight on my shoulders in that regard, which is really nice, honestly. So we've been using Bike Flights pretty much the whole time we've been here.
It was one of the first accounts I think we opened up when we were here.
Yeah, very important, especially with the mail-in business. Simple to use, very straightforward. Pricing is good. We've had one or two little hiccups with the shipping that we've had over the years, and every time there is a little issue, call them, and they're great about it. They're always friendly, want to help, make sure get to the bottom of it.
We always throw out Bike Flights just as hey, we know it's easy to use, even on the customer side. It's not just an interface for businesses, and we know it's going to arrive safe and on time.
That was a better answer. Sorry. So over here we have the suspension bench. This is where we do most of the complicated work. We rebuild primarily Fox and Rock shocks, but we do work with DVO. We are an MRP certified service center. This is our vacuum machine for piggyback shocks. We got a shock on here right now. It looks like it's pretty well bled. No air's coming out of here. This is our nitrogen charging station for the Fox shocks with the charging needle here. It's pretty interesting stuff. So a lot of the Fox shocks take nitrogen charge. All the Rock shock stuff does use air, so we have a high pressure pump here for that. This is the specialty tools for the suspension rebuild stuff. A lot of little bits and bobs that you need to make this happen. And then yeah, we have a bunch of service kits and our bearing suite for, we do a lot of wheel work here too. We're actually expert wheel builders as well, so that is another feather in our cap. We really enjoy building custom wheels, and it's kind of a lesser known thing that we do. We do have our shock dyno here. This is an off-street only shock dyno. Pretty cool little item. One of the first things we got when we got a couple extra bucks at the shop, but this allows us to do a lot of things. Allows us to test the dampers and see if they're functioning properly. Help us kind of diagnose if they're not functioning properly, what may be going on. Kind of have the local mountain bike repair segment cornered, but we also have a regional mail-in business. So there's several shops around the area up and down the thruway, some in Connecticut, some in Pennsylvania, who actually take their customer suspension off and send them to us to be overhauled, and then we'll ship them back. So one part of that with the rear shocks is with all the air shocks, there's a positive and negative chamber, and the shocks need to be regulated every 50 pounds as you pump them up. So one of our goals when we do rebuild a customer suspension is to record the settings and put the shock or fork back to those exact settings so that the customer can then just put it back on their bike and not have to think about messing with their suspension setup anymore. And then the other big thing that we are is a Banshee dealer. They're really high quality bikes. It's a British Columbia company. They're made overseas in Taiwan. So that's been really good to us. We do enjoy ground up builds with those, and we basically will kind of do as much hand holding as the customer wants. Sometimes we just hand the customer the frame. Sometimes we do a full ground up build, and they turn out beautifully. Thanks for watching the Tune MTB Bike Flight's Top Shop Tour. We really appreciate you guys sticking around and checking out the shop. If you're ever in Rochester, New York, come by and say hi. We'd love to help you out with any issues you might have with your mountain bike or your any type of bicycle, really, for that matter. So yeah, if you're ever in the Rock, just come by and say hi. Take care.